Finally, the day is here and morning is breaking. It's breaking out on all corners of this wide country of ours, and Kenyans are coming out in droves to cast their ballot this morning. As I was coming up to work, I saw them as early as 3 a.m. blowing the vuvuzelas, blowing their whistle, just to alert every other Kenyan that today is election day. It is the 9th of August 2022, and all that has been building up on the campaign trail today is climaxing on that crescendo where Kenyans have their moment to make and choose their leader. This is a moment of truth, and this is the general election on August the 9th, 2022. My name is Dibala Ne. I'm glad that you're joining us this morning, and you're bang on time, of course, for a very comprehensive, immersive, and a very compelling general election that we'll be covering for you just as we know it here on KTN. And as they say, punctuality, it is the courtesy of the princesses and the politeness of the kings. We're here to tell you, yes, we're bang on time, and all through we'll be covering these elections for you to give you all the information that is coming through and coming at hand to just make sure that you're upbeat and you know what is going on. So we begin this morning with a critical analysis of how this will be with our panelists here on KTN News, and I'll be joined this morning by Professor Maurice Amotabi, who is a political analyst. I'll be joined by Professor Jonah Kindiki, who is also a political commentator. I'll be joined by Winnie Mitula. Professor Winnie Mitula is a political scientist, and of course we'll be joined by Dominic Mwenja, also who is a political commentator. You get to drive the show with me, and I want you to accompany me all the way from today until when the president will be announced. And so keep me company. You can head over to our Twitter handle, which is KTN News KE, where you can chime in, ask questions, or also share your commentations and of course your output that will be sampling here on our social media. So let's get to drive the show. We put it on the full run. This horse is ready and I'm game. We're all set, all hands on deck. All our reporters are dotted out, as I've mentioned to you, in every nook and cranny of this country to give you that compelling news. And of course also at the end we shall give you our views, our call on how this election will be. But why don't we get what is fresh off the press this morning? I know it is 5 a.m. this morning, and many of you are taking up your breakfast to make sure that at least 6 o'clock on the nose you are at the polling station. This is what you're waking up to this morning on the front page of the Standard today. The polls setback as Kenya decides. Poll setback as Kenya decides is what is on the front page of the bold paper this morning. Day of reckoning is here. The long wait begins for candidates as millions of Kenyans troop to polling centers to cast their ballots, even as IBC suspends governor races in Mombasa and Kakamega and parliamentary races in Kachaliba and Pokot South. All the ballot mix-up. This, you have it well laid out for you on page 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 and 14 of the Standard this morning. And these are the faces to look out for. We have David Wahige Mwaure there, we have Right Honorable Raila Odinga, we have Deputy President William Ruto, and Professor George Wajakoya. Now, moment of truth, how events unfolded. We have Azimio call for DCI probe. This is in regarding to what the splash is this morning, the poll setback as we are heading to the polls this morning. Coalition is asking for investigation after IBC suspended Mombasa and Kakamega governor races over ballot mix-up. Also, we have manual list order suspended. Appeal court suspend High Court's order requiring IBC to use manual register alongside electronic list to identify voters in today's elections. We have 3 IBC officials sent packing. 5 electoral officials found at the home of parliamentary aspirants in Homa Bay County suspended and replaced. We have also peace promise. All of them have pledged that they will keep the peace. Candidates tell observers, led by former Tanzania President Jakaya Kikwete, they support free and fair polls. Right? We hope they will keep that particular promise. Still on the front page of the Standard this morning, blow to MPs as CDF laws struck out. That is well fleshed out for you on page 17 of the Standard this morning. New Army Commander Lieutenant General Njiro takes over. This is well fleshed out and laid out for you on page 25 of the Standard today. Remember also today is Tuesday. Every Tuesday you have the Financial Standard coming your way for them that want to brush up on the financial skills as well. From corner office to podium, CEOs join market politics, and some of your faces also are splashed there, who will be casting their ballots this morning from the CEO or the CEO's office to the murky waters or the murky politics that we know it. And that story, it is in the Financial Standard this morning. This is how the Standard looks, right? Allow me to just also put up the Daily Nation for you to see what the Daily Nation is holding for us. It is your moment of truth, and this is what the Daily Nation is holding for us this morning. Coming up shortly. In the meantime, I can see Winnie Mitula. She's, of course, standing at the ready to join us this morning very early. Kenya, time to call it. It's your time to call it. This is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. Kenya, time to call it. It's your job to hire government. Here is our helpful guide on how to go about it. And this is well fleshed out for you on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, and 13 of the Daily Nation this morning. 22 million Kenyans, 120,458. That is the total number of registered voters so far. We have 6, that is the number of elective positions: president, governor, senator, MP, woman representative, and MCA. We have 1,882 total number of elective seats in Kenya. We have number, that is 4. That is number 4, number of presidential candidates. That is Professor George Wajakoya of Roots Party. We have William Ruto of the UDA. We have Raila Odinga of Azimio and David Mwaure Wahiga of Agano Party. We have 16,108. That is the total number of candidates participating in the elections. And we have 46,229. That is the number of polling stations, up from 40,883 in 2017. That is 46,229 for the 296 and more elective seats that we can see that they'll be gagging out for, right? You can see the total number is 1,882, total number of elective seats in Kenya. That is combining the MCAs, women rep, of course, member of parliament, the Senate. We have the governor, the presidential candidates as well. So all of them will be looking out to fill up these particular seats, and we wish them well. This is the Daily Nation for you. Battle for register. We have United Democratic Alliance gets its way after the Court of Appeal suspends a decision directing IBC to use the manual register concurrently with the electronic one, pending determination of an appeal filed by William Ruto's party. United Democratic Alliance gets its way after the Court of Appeal suspends the decision directing IBC to use manual register concurrently with the electronic one, pending determination of an appeal filed by William Ruto's party. How will that really pan out right now? We shall just go the digital way as we wait for the court's decision on this. Chebukati's shocker. In press briefing, the IBC chairman announces the suspension of governor races in Kakamega and Mombasa, and MP contest in Kachaliba and Pokot South constituency over ballot mix-up. Affected candidates protest. We have wrong ballots. Even before Chebukati cancelled the Mombasa and Kakamega races, ballot papers belonging to other regions had been found in other zones, affecting preparations in Kilifi, Kirinyaga, and Tharaka Nithi, among others. Rogue officers, you can't miss them out. They say in every market there is a madman, and still bullish that the elections will be free and fair. The commission admitted that some of its returning officers had been found voting with candidates and that it had suspended them. 4 officers met with an MCA in Homa Bay. Now, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Follow this voting process today. It is well laid out for you. 1, present ID or passport at polling station. 2, you will be identified and authenticated as a voter using KIMS kit or manual register. 3, you will be issued with 6 stamped ballot papers. That is 1, the white one for the president. We have the green one for MP. We have the beige one for MCA. We have the blue one for governor. We have the yellow one for senator, and woman rep is pink. 4, mark the ballot papers secretly. And the operative word there is secretly. 5. Cast marked ballot papers in the labeled ballot boxes. 6. After your finger is marked with indelible ink, leave polling stations. And of course, you had a directive from some of the regional commissioners that you should not be messing up around the polling stations. Once your job is done, that is casting the ballot, you go home and wait for the tallying. Remember also, you need to check from the backside of those ballot papers if it has been stamped. This has not been teased out here, but it's just good to remind you as well. If it doesn't have any the stamp from the IBC, that is the IBC stamp, make sure that you alert the presiding officer in that particular polling station this morning. This is the Daily Nation. And also on the side, but there you have Election for a Hungry Nation. There's a magazine inside there. Although agriculture is the backbone of its economy, Kenya can't produce enough to feed its bulging population and relies heavily on imports, even as it goes to the polls. Can this nation ever feed itself? That is the abiding question. You have the story there inside the Daily Nation this morning. That's how it looks, right? Let me just try and bring up the Star, the People Daily as well, just to show you what is on the front page of the Star, the People Daily. The Star is holding this splash for you this morning. That's coming up shortly. That is the Star for us. And it's a question. President who? President who? President who is what is on the front page of the Star this morning. It's either Raila or Ruto as Kenyans cast their votes. President who? Grand finale. Epic campaign marked by rancor and fear between Raila and Ruto is what the flagger is reading on top there. And President who? You can see their faces there. The inflappable smile there of Raila Odinga and the face of William Ruto. These are the faces, one of which will be sitting in State House. And it's all up to you to make sure you cast the right president for that particular seat at the top of the hill. There is the governor race, ballot mix-up, as you've just been teased out from other dailies as well. It's all about the Mombasa polls that have been suspended and Kakamega. And the Court of Appeal gives IBC power to use digital register after we had that appeal from UDA. So we'll eagerly wait to see how this really pans out with that court ruling. The Court of Appeal has suspended a High Court decision that directed the IBC to use the manual register. The court said, quote unquote, UDA has made a case for the grant of the orders of a stay of the entire judgment delivered on August the 4th, 2022 in the Nairobi High Court, pending the hearing and determination of the intended appeal. And you have this story well fleshed out for you on page 9 of the Star this morning. Let's see, on top here, what we do have. Puzzle, why mosquitoes prefer biting your legs. That is not related to elections, but still, I know this is just election fever, so we don't want to hear anything about mosquitoes. We want to hear everything about the elections. This is what is on the Star this morning. Let's see what we have on the front page of the People Daily. And this is what is coming up shortly. In the meantime, also just want to say that we have Professor Dominic Mwenja, who has walked in, and on Professor Jonah Kindiki as well as joining us this morning. He's standing at the radio as well. We have Winnie Mitula, Professor Winnie Mitula is a political scientist. Also, we have Professor Morris Amutabi, who is also a political commentator. Right, the People Daily is up next. Let's see what the People Daily is holding for us this morning. And this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the People Daily. We have Taifa Leo as well. Let me just pick up the one which is coming up first. The People Daily is eluding me. I will show you that in a moment. But this is what is on the front page of Taifa Leo. Uamuzi ni wako. That is what is a splash there. Uamuzi ni wako. Don't blame anyone. After we've announced the president and all these elective seats that have been filled up, Agosti 9 imewadia. Kenya yaelekea katika tukio la kihistoria la kumchagua rais mpya na viongozi wengineo. Kura. Baada ya miaka mitano leo, wa Kenya wanaelekea debeni kumwajiri kumwajiri rais wao wa tano tu. You can read the rest of the details there on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 and 11 of Taifa Leo. So who are the contenders? They are, just to remind you, William Ruto, naibu rais, anawania urais kwa mara ya kwanza akilenga kurithi kiti kikuu historia. We have George Wajakoya, amesisimua wengi kwa sera zake za kustaajabisha, ikiwemo kuhalalisha ukuzaji wa bangi. We have also Raila Odinga there, baada ya kujaribu mara 4 bila mafanikio. Tinga ana nafasi ya kipekee ya kutwaa urais. We have Wahiga Mwaure, mhubiri wa Kikristo, anadhamiria kutumia tajriba ya uchaguzi kuongoza Kenya. Those are the faces that you'll be seeing on the ballot, on that presidential white ballot paper. This will be the faces that you'll be seeing there. And this is Taifa Leo. How is business faring even today? Are we facing a beating? Are there bugbears and fears as far as the business environment is concerned? Today is a holiday, so many of the businesses have closed up so far. Allow me just to show you what is on the front page of the Business Daily. Then we shall hear from our panelists. I know many of them also traveling up country to be casting their ballot. Some of them will be casting the ballot here in Nairobi. And we have casting their votes here, the ballot in Nairobi. We have the Business Daily. Now, CEOs are very bullish. Even investors are very bullish. So far, this electioneering process has been very peaceful. And the CEOs are saying, we're upbeat on the economy as Kenya decides. We're upbeat about the economy as Kenya decides. This is what is on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. Business leader expects smooth transition. Leading banks and think tanks see 5.39% growth this year. Right? They always say in business, ceteris paribus, everything remaining constant, right? We shall have a very optimistic and a very sanguine trajectory after the elections as well, as far as the economy is concerned. We know many of the foreign investors were greatly shy to invest because of the political uncertainty. But now we know uncertainty is the enemy of progress and economy, but we have the CEOs and investors saying we are upbeat. We are bullish that the economy will grow. And as Kenyans go to the polls today, we take cognizance of that. Kenya heads to elections today with business leaders upbeat about a peaceful political transition and no major disruption to the economy, a departure from the fear of downturns associated with the country's polls. Business leaders in survey conducted ahead of the high-stakes presidential elections have expressed confidence in the economy in the aftermath of the vote, which will usher in the new leader. And maybe just to project there, that is the GDP growth over election years. How far? If we hack back to 2002, we had 0.5%. In 2007, we had it at 6.9%. This was the highest so far as the GDP is concerned. And in 2013, we had 3.8%. It remained steadily the same in 2017. This is a projection right now, 5.3% in 2022. And we've heard also from the central bank governor saying they don't expect this to really go down. It shall stand the same or even go higher. And we eagerly wait to see how that will pan out. And that also depends on you, how you conduct yourself in those polls. Remember, violence is an electoral offense, right? Milling around the stations after you've cast the ballot is not really allowed. After you've cast your ballot, you've cast your vote in the ballot boxes, you head home and wait for the results. Yeah, you keep your eyes peeled here on KTN News for more informative news as well. Nairobi eyes U.S. companies fleeing China in Biden deal is another story you can follow there. Let's see what the East Africans are saying and how they're reacting also to our elections today. And I want just to show you what is on the front page of the East African this morning. And we buckle down to our discussions to just hear the introductory remarks from our panelists as well. And this is the East African for you, coming up shortly. And I just want to bring it up. This is the East African for you. And also we have the editorial cartoons as well. Right. Bringing up the East African shortly for you. Eluding me, but I shall show you as we progress with the program this morning. I just want to buckle down to get our panelists to just give the introductory remarks. And I begin with Professor Mombasa Road. Wapi?
Thank you.
Kadi yako iko wapi?
Kadi yangu iko hapa. Ya kupiga kura leo.
Ya Winnie Mitula. Professor, where is your card?
Iko
siri yako.
Na kitambulisho.
Na kitambulisho pia. Professor Dominic Mwenja, where is your card?
Iko hapa.
Iko. Near your chest. Professor Kidiki.
Very close to my chest.
Very close to your chest. Where your heart is today. Fantastic. Good to see you. Right, I've woken up pretty early today.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
And don't worry, I know you've taken breakfast, but I have good breakfast for you. That is coming up shortly. But even as I was coming, I could see Kenyans at 3 a.m. Early in the morning, they were blowing their vuvuzelas and firimbi all over. People were lining up. Very early in the morning for the polling stations. And I was really surprised. I was like, oh my goodness, I've never seen this, even with previous elections, how people are very, very optimistic. And they're turning out in numbers as well.
Right.
Looking at the register of the voters, we have 22.1 voters who will be casting their ballot. But normally say the turnout is what will really decide. But historically, we've never really crossed that threshold of 80%, right? The highest, I think it's been vacillating between 70 and 75. So this really shows that Kenyans are really more informed, and Kenyans are really eager also to make sure that there's a change of guard, change of leadership, and maybe change and trajectory of our lives as well. Professor Mutabi, what do you expect today?
I'm expecting, I think, people to turn out in large numbers. A lot of excitement. I think for the first time, we are seeing the polls reflecting a very tight race. And from what we are gathering from many parts of the country, people are ready and geared to go. And we are also expecting to see some changes and dynamics in the swing counties.
Yes.
There are swing counties that are reading up. And I know the 4 areas, Kakamega, Mombasa, Kacheliba, and the Pokot South are disappointed for the mix-up of the pictures of the candidates. But I think the rest of the country seems very excited. They're very, very ready. And this morning, you can see the air. You can feel it in the air, that there's excitement and that the voting will go on today. And that today we shall have glimpses of who's going to lead this country as president, and also other races, gubernatorial, senatorial, parliamentary, and also county level positions. So there's excitement in the air. And what we're happy about is this peace. We have not had any incidents where there has been tensions and so on. Unlike previous elections, there's peace, and we have been assured by security forces, security personnel, that I think all is well. We've had 2 cases where I think in Turkana and Moyale, and I think Mandera, where there was disruption of polling stations because of bandit activities or attacks. But I think...
Wajir.
Yes, but other than that, I think the election seems to be peaceful and all poised for a very, very peaceful election.
And we hope that will also stand. As you can see, Garo has also drawn a caricature there, interesting one. Hopefully, our politicians will learn from voters, if we just put it back, please, and behave as peaceful after elections. Hopefully, our politicians will learn from voters and behave as peaceful after elections. And well, we've seen our voters so far. We've never had on the campaign trail, Winnie Mitula, a lot of some of the violence that we've experienced before in previous elections as well. This one has fairly been peaceful, and we're hoping that will also be maintained all the way, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm given to understand there's some Kim's kit that actually disappeared.
2. Is it 2?
2 of them.
There are 2, yeah.
Yeah, in Moyale,
yes,
and RBC also has been alerted on that any transmission that comes from those particular Kim's kit, that has been serialized. So we remember the serial number that we have the Venezuelans carrying up with the stickers. This is where it will be very helpful. When we were bashing the Venezuelans as well, this is where the stickers were actually carrying the barcodes for this particular Kim's kit. So it will really come in handy that we have that barcode showing or
The
Yes,
lost
the serial
ones.
number of a particular KIMS kit
Yeah.
that has been stolen so far. Winnie?
Yes, it's a D-Day.
It's a D-Day.
A real D-Day, and it's been a long haul. Election is a real process. Which begin months and years back.
Yes.
And then you see the day today is the day of the voter. Actually, I think Electoral Commission should have done its part to the letter. Of course, now it's just dealing with the taking care of what might pop up here and there. And I've seen them being quite on their feet yesterday. I hope that Chebukati will keep on his feet that way. He's gonna really be wasted because it's a long haul, and he's begun it yesterday in terms of responding. And I think the response was very good, giving people assurance that we know this, we've had our officers whom we've found and we've dismissed them. That's really good for, the trust that we need around elections. So far one would say it's good. And I think the excitement I saw last evening in social media about just Kenyan citizens being ready to go is amazing. And especially what you say about this election has generally been hardly any violence for sure, voters and friends and, agents taunt each other up and down, but really we haven't seen the serious violence so far in the campaign process. And it has been intense.
It has been intense.
Very intense, that you would have expected a lot of probably violence. So our expectation is still that people will go, but in Kenya what is very, very critical is trust. You need to keep the trust, hold that trust. So as Chebukati and the entire team works with us from this early morning, we need to have that trust. In other words, if there is an issue, is handled, and is handled in a way that people feel is objective and is non-partisan. I think that's really what one needs to hold on to until we hear the announcement of our new president, the fifth, whoever the fifth will be.
Whoever the fifth will be.
Everybody calls themselves, as I told you previously here. Everybody's the fifth.
The fifth.
We will wait to see that real fifth.
Dominic Mwenja, good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Tell us, your expectations as well.
Good morning, Dibal. Good morning, Kenya. My expectation is people will come out in large numbers to vote. And mostly because I was just looking through from 2002 to 2022, the last 20 years. For me, since Kibaki's election in 2002, this is the most important election in this country. And here is the reason. Kibaki saw the sunset of the old constitution. And there was that hope that this country will redefine itself and start the growth trajectory the founding fathers thought we were going to have in the early 60s. Uhuru oversaw the first 10 years of the new constitution and therefore laid the groundwork for us to take off as a country. Now, where we are today, and this is why this is very important, the next stage of this country's economic development and welfare is going to be determined on who is going to be president in this country. Because Uhuru's 10 years saw the first foundation. Now, we are at the dawn of the economic takeoff in this country. And therefore, if Kenyans, when they go out to vote today, across the entire country, we hope that they will look at the candidates who are running and say, this is the candidate I can trust to run this country, to take this country to the next level, to take the economic welfare of this country and the people's welfare at heart. And therefore, the foundation that Uhuru has laid in taking off economically, we need someone who is going to shepherd. It's about shepherding the economy of this country. And that's why Chapter 6 of this Constitution is extremely important on the ballot today as we go towards the next 10 years of this country and where this country is headed. And I can tell you for sure, we are ready for an economic takeoff as a country. And if we are ready for an economic takeoff of this country, then what we need is a team that's going to shepherd this country to the next level. And I'm hoping Kenyans will be able to make that determination today.
Right. Let's hear from Professor Kindiki. Hey, good to see you, Professor. It's been a while.
Thank you so much.
Almost 10 good years. Since I last saw your face. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Still looking fresh and upbeat.
Yes, sure.
So what is your big expectation as well, Professor Kindiki?
Yeah, thank you so much, and good morning, Kenyans. My expectation is that Kenyans, just like me, are really expecting a new change and a real change in their lives, because, as my colleagues have put it, is that this is what today people have been waiting for. I would say that for the last 10 years, it has been a period of implementation of the new constitution. And we have seen so many changes happening within the last 10 years, you know, as compared to what had happened in the old constitution 10 years, before 10 years began for the new constitution. And this is the time when Kenyans are looking forward to see there's social justice, there's inequality, sharing of resources and distribution of resources. Remember now the resources are just the county levels, and people have a lot of experience of managing resources because there is public participation, and they have seen their part that they are playing in resource mobilization at the county levels. And this issue of devolution really has really energized people, and the Kenyans feel that they are energized to participate more in economic development, in their welfare, the social justice, inequality, as opposed to what was happening there before, because most of the things were centralized at the national level. And now, because of that devolution, people feel that they are part and parcel of the process of making a government. And now Kenyans are looking forward to the next 5-10 years, what changes are going to happen in their lives. And actually, for me, and I believe even other Kenyans elsewhere, they are looking forward to see a lot of change happening, because these issues have, affected Kenyans, the economic issues, the social justice, and there have been so many issues and arguments just before the new constitution came up. And now, because we have really tested the implementation of the new constitution, now people feel that they are part and parcel of the process of making a government. And I believe whoever takes over to be the new president will be cautious now to work with the people, as opposed to somebody who was at the national level giving dictates to the people and the public with very little consultation. But now there's a lot of consultation. They say, to the people and the leaders, and the people and the leaders, not at the national level, even at the county level. You look at the county level, at the ward level, people are involved, and they're involved in making decisions of what affects them. So the expectation is there's a lot of change which is really expected, and that's why you find people are quiet, and there has not been any violence noticed so far. And I believe until the end of the process, so there will be no violence at all, because people now are mature and they know what they want. And we're only expecting the INBC now to do their job and give us the results, and which Kenyans are expecting this, very soon after today. And we look forward to usher in the new president, because he is part of us. Before there was a big difference between the presidency and the people. But now that difference is now being minimized, because he is one of us and participating in the process of, the growth of the economy and other issues that are affecting the country, Kenya. So the expectations are high, the stakes are very high, and we hope that whoever is declared the winner and the loser should also accept, so that we can move forward and build this great nation, the Kenya that we want.
And that is the beauty of also our constitution, that we have the center really speaking to the periphery. Previously, it was such an office that, was operating in isolation. So much power that had been vested in that particular office, as it were. But the beauty about the constitution is we have the element of the participatory nature of it, that you cannot just make decision without consulting the people who have the power to put you on that particular seat at the end of the day. And this is also a conversation we've been discussing and asking other panelists as well, looking at the regime of President Uhuru Kenyatta. How has he conducted himself in regard to the powers that he has as well? Right, you can see on the splits of the screen there, we have pictures beaming right from Tabo in Eldoret. And RBC officials are standing on the radio. Just looking at the time, we've got a few minutes to go. That's 23 minutes to time. And then 6 o'clock on the nose, that's the official time that you should be starting to cast your votes in the various polling stations in the country. 16,108. Those are the participants that the candidates are seeking or gagging for this particular electoral seats. We have 1,882 total number of elective seats in the country, 6 presidential seats that one will fill. We have, that is 6, I should say, elective positions. That is a president, governor, senator, MP, woman representative, and MCA. The presidential seats are 4. We have 46,222 number of polling stations, up from 40,883 in 2017. And the beauty about this, Professor Amutabi, is the fact that right now, we don't really have people really coming in droves in one polling stations, and it's a nightmare for the officials. That has been capped at 700. 700 for ease of, the process itself. 5 minutes is what is expected for each and every Kenyan who is at the polling station to cast their ballot within that particular time. So from the time you're walking in, you go to the first IBC officials, you from the Kimskate to just verify your names, you the ID and all that until you're out. 5 minutes.
It's incredible, I think, what they've done, especially increasing the polling stations across the country, because in the past we've had a lot of congestion in some areas where you had almost 3,000 voters in one polling station. What has also improved, I think, the situation is the streaming. They have put various streams. You find in some polling stations they are up to even 10 streams and so on. And I think this will augur very well, especially in areas that have high population density, constituencies that have high densities and so on. What I think is remarkable about all this is that I think the 5-minute mark is the average, but we know that the elderly, the sick and so on will take slightly more time. But what I think should have happened also is that they should allow independent individuals to come in with those assisting them, because I think there's a slight change of rule that only the presiding officer will help those requiring assistance to vote inside the polling station. But if they are allowed, I think the people they come with to escort them in and so on, I think that will also be much better. What I think we need to point out is that there have been complaints, and I've seen this on social media, as well as BBC yesterday, where some voters were not able to find their names in the stations for which they are designated, and others had been moved to other areas without their knowledge and so on. And there was out of congestion in some areas where you found lists posted on walls or on spaces where they were able to find out that they had actually been moved, and others couldn't find their details and all that. This should have been done early. We have seen, I think, messages from IBC. They have come in, I think, 2-3 times to various people's phones and so on. But some of the communications should have been done. If somebody's name has been moved from one polling station or another, and IBC has that right to move to the next polling station or near polling station, I think constitutionally they're allowed to do that. But they should notify the voters that actually you are moved from polling station A to B because of shifting around the numbers, the 700 numbers and so on. Once you move beyond 701, you can move to the next polling station, but within the periphery, I think, of about not more than 2 kilometers. But I saw a case, I think, in Kisumu and other places in the media where some voters reported having been moved, I think, far away. Even there's one who was moved, I think, the other day, I think yesterday, moved from Nairobi to Nyatike, and I think these are kind of things that need to be addressed, especially with the PMG review, which pointed out that there was out of shifts of about, I think, 1 million voters. We didn't see quite the whole report on this, but I think the Chebukati assured people yesterday that all is well, and especially in terms of all ballots moving in and all that, everybody is happy about this. Of course, the 4 areas, Kakamega, Mombasa, Kachaliba, and Pokot South. What also I need to point out, and which is very, very important, is that the accountability dynamics begin right now. I think yesterday Chebukati was assuring people about this. We want to see if the polling stations will start on time, especially we are saying 6, and that after 5, all those at the polling stations will be allowed to vote, even if it means up to midnight or even past midnight. That, I think, is a strong assurance. And I think the test begins, I think, in the next few minutes, like you're pointing out, at 6, to see how organized and how well prepared they are for this very important activity for this country. And I think Kenyans are very, very anticipating to see and receive good leaders at all levels, from the presidency up to the MCA. And I think the systems are gearing to go. And I think in the next few minutes, we'll see the test of all these preparations and so on.
Right, you can see pictures there from Tarbo Eldoret. One of the places that we'll be centering our focus on, especially in Sugoi, where Deputy President will be casting his ballot. We saw they've pinned on the particular door there the list of the voters who are expected to be casting their votes in those polling stations. That also includes Mama Rachel as well. So as soon as we have him going to cast his ballot, we shall make sure that we also beam that for you right from Sugoi as well. And Mount Kenya is also the biggest places, or the biggest region that we are focusing on as well. President Uhuru Kenyatta, will he be casting? Yeah, he should be casting his ballot in Chaweri as well. We shall be centering our focus there. In Kisumu, Western region, Raila Odinga, we have our reporters also who are keeping their eyes peeled and keeping out their ears and standing at the ready to make sure that as soon as he has his vote on his hand to cast in that particular ballot, then we shall also beam that for you, and various regions of this country where our reporters are dotted. Kakamega also there on the ready. People have woken up early, and you can see they're eagerly waiting for the polling stations doors or the gates to be opened for them to cast their ballot this morning. But even as we're talking about this particular day, we know that the IBC is starting on a wrong foot with the two, actually 4 of them. We have the setback on the governor race in Mombasa, Kakamega, and the parliamentary races in Kachaliba and Pokot South over ballot mix-up. This is what is also on the front page of the Standard this morning. And I want to come to you, Professor Winnie Mitula.
Yeah.
Now that IBC recognized this or actually caught up with this much later, it really goes to show that no one really tampered with the ballot papers, right? They were not really open until, maybe the last few days. Was it that watertight, or how did it really cross out? Or they didn't have the sample papers from these particular ballot papers so that they can see, to verify that the ballot papers are okay. We don't have name mix-up, we don't have faces mixed up. Then now we have to go back to the drawing board. Will this be at the expense? Because this is now an error from the supplier. It will be at the cost of the supplier at the end of the day. But I'm at a loss to understand, is it now the error? Should we focus on IBC, or is it now that they also did a good job in trying to make sure that they don't really tamper with the ballot papers? I don't know.
I think, Dibal, you've highlighted the massive exercise that this thing involves, especially the candidates, the number of candidates, the papers that you have to print.
Yes.
So far, if we can stick to only those ones being a problem, I'll be a very happy person. Because I would even think you could even have more without tampering even. Just if you take printing, the thing is you should audit it. They've been going out there to audit it, yeah? So we expected them to audit. Maybe they audit the template or they audit a dummy, I don't know. But I don't expect that they would be counter-checking at any level what is in the packs. Because that would be really predispose them to tampering with the ballot papers.
Yeah.
So once ballot, they are sealed and we know this is the number, that's it. Probably there could be one on top, hopefully, one on top that just shows you what is in it.
What is the content?
Yeah, on top.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Did they miss out?
So,
read out? Yeah.
So is this was this one on top different, or was somebody a bit careless in terms of counter-checking the one on top? It is something that can raise concerns, but considering the number of what is to be printed, I wouldn't worry so much for now. I want to just believe
but how
that
did
this was...
No, how did it escape the eye of IBC? Because I think you were given, you have to verify, first of all, with the purchaser, right? That this is the right document.
Yes,
you're always given samples. Can we go full semester? Can you commission so that we go rolling the machine for the ballot papers?
I like how you would want to be very hypothetical about this. You cannot be solid 150% right with these things of huge, massive printouts. One would always sneak or 2 or 3. I wouldn't say that that it's a good thing, but so far, if it sticks to be, it's never happened. We've not gotten such a serious one. I don't think last elections we had something like that. We had late printing, but I don't think we had
mixed up of names and faces,
of this kind of thing. So I just hope it's not a sign of things to come, because you never know. When we roll these things out, I think by now is when, over the night as we slept, they must have looked, because now once you are in your polling station, you want to know that everything is right. So that is at the point that they begin seeing again things that are could be a mishmash or no. It's an issue, but I think he handled it well in terms of saying what should be. But then when again, it's again, I've heard also the people who are contesting talking about it, and of course the way they see it straight away is a foul thing. Is seen as here is not there is a problem.
There's a problem.
So it's being tied into, you know, suspicion, a lot of suspicion. So it's unfortunate that it happened, because already it's raised suspicion, and you've had the politicians now saying what they think about it and what it could lead to.
Yes.
And already the trust is being tempered with,
yeah.
because the moment you see that, people start not trusting IBC. Yeah.
Indeed. And we have the Gazette notice that will come for this particular places that have been affected. But in terms of voter turnout, you know, everyone is bullish about today. Yeah. In terms of voter turnout, will we have another public holiday for these areas, so that we're in Mombasa, and if it's public for every Kenyan at the end of the day, so that now everyone will not have a stock excuse that I had to go to work, because that we have to look at all the dynamics, because that will affect the voter turnout. Professor Dominic Mwanja.
Dibal, I'm a student of strategy, and there's something we call the chaos theory.
The chaos theory.
And and the chaos theory. You see, in chaos theory, as you observe different seemingly unrelated chaos, there's always order. You just have to pay attention to see where order is heading you to. The Mombasa Kakamega issue on the pictures and the names reminds me of the US election in 2000 in Florida, the hanging Chad, where the popular candidate, who was Al Gore, lost to George Bush because of the Electoral College mathematics. And that's why you find a candidate who garners several million votes over and above the next candidate wins, because of some things that, one, it was constitutional in the US, but the issue, the way that the Florida was handled gave actually George Bush the presidency, even if he never won the presidency. Now, the issue here with Mombasa, and what I'm looking at, is the two counties had two governor candidates who had issues that needed to be included in the ballots. So I think what we need to see, Dibal, is the custody of the information from IBC to the Greeks, the folder itself that was sent, because you know as well as I do, in printing, you have a picture and you have a name. And for you to go and put that picture in this name and this name in this picture, for me it doesn't augur very well, regardless of the assurances that I'm getting from somebody somewhere, because that soft file is loaded into the printing equipment. They manipulate the image to make sure it fits where they want it to fit. But the switching of names and pictures and all that stuff, it's a practical impossibility. I don't know where this is coming from in terms of that explanation. But for me as a person and as students of strategy and chaos theory, it makes absolutely no sense. Which goes back now, and I don't wish on the morning of the elections to start counting doubt. But it's always good to be on the lookout for something that may affect the elections as we move into now the real land, because this is going to be not real land really. They have to do this in 2 weeks probably. have another run. So make sure this is not another Florida with the hanging chads, where something happens that should not have happened. And therefore, in this case, we tell the people of Mombasa and Kakamega, get out and vote. Even if your candidate for governor is not on the ballot today, get out and vote, because you still have the presidential elections, you still have the Senate, and all the other 5, they're still ongoing. And therefore, don't be discouraged because you're not going to be voting for your gubernatorial candidate. But we need an explanation from IEBC. This is not a simple mistake. This is a colossal mistake.
It's a colossal mistake.
And if you put this, then I told you I'm a student of chaos theory, and we look at chaos and look at order, where the order might be. And then we look at Kakame and they lost the Kim's kids, the two of them. You look at these stickers and say, well, where are these stickers going? How can somebody tell us they did not tamper with any of these boxes? Well, all you need is a sticker. Then you take that sticker out, put another one in, mess with something, and you look legit.
Yes.
So those are things that are genuinely of concern to me. But Kenyans should come out and vote in large numbers, because this country needs every vote for the future of this country or the next 10 to 20 years. And if we are going to take off economically, like I said at the beginning, the elections that we have today will determine where this country headed.
Indeed. Bondo Siaya is where we are turning our focus also with our cameras. They're taking a sweeping view all over the country. Right now we're taking our focus on Bondo Siaya. As you can see, they're filing up. They've really come out in force as well to cast their ballot. Looking at the clock, we're only remaining with 7 minutes so that the officials will open those gates. Everyone, they're braving the cold, and make sure also if you don't have the blanket victory, come on, get out of your bed and go and vote this morning if you have your vote with you. 5 minutes to go, and this is decision time. Moment of truth. You have the power. Remember, we've always said on this program that that one vote really counts. That one vote brought Hitler to power. That one vote was also the extermination of the Jews that we saw with the perpetration of evil that was coming from Hitler. So if you want your country as well to be in a better place, you have the power to do that. And today is the D-Day. Right, let me come to you, Professor Kindiki. Chebukati trial by fire. You've heard of the chaos theory. And this is good. When I have professor, I feel like professors here, I feel like I'm in classroom. They can try and take the theory and mix it with the practicals right now on the ground. Chaos theory, Chebukati's trial by fire. We have Professor Dominic Mwenja saying that this, from him, he cannot really understand how this can happen in this epoch of time where we have good technology. Is somewhere trying to game the system, though he really wants to be greatly shy to not to make sure that people are doubting what is happening with the IBC as well. But how could this really happen? We can see on the People Daily, they're saying this is Chebukati on trial. Races cancelled, shock for Kakamega and Mombasa voters. Candidates as governors' races pushed forward due to printing errors. Printing errors occur. Even here in the dailies, sometimes we have typos.
Printing errors
where printing errors occur, and that is not a chaos theory. Yeah, you cannot say we in the newsroom with the chaos theory.
The inspection team that went to Greece. What did they do? The inspection team which went to Greece to inspect. What did they do? Their role was to verify if whatever had been sent there was proper. So were they just going for tourism?
No, we're trying also to
know what they went to do.
Exactly. That is what they did.
Professor Kindiki, we don't have chaos theory in the newsroom. We'll have, and we apologize. At the end of the day, we got the mix-up of faces. This was not. We actually, we're deeply, and regrettably.
They even put a dead person who is not dead.
Even you remember, one of the dailies carried a very prominent politician in this country. On the obituaries. Was that a printing error? Was that a chaos theory? Another question. We have Nobel. Alfred. Sure. What happened? How did the Nobel Peace Prize come to bear? Right. One day we had Alfred Nobel just flipping through the pages. Who does he see on the obituaries? His own face. How spooky is that? You wake up one morning and you see, oh, this is Dibala on the obituary. I'm alive, yet I'm reading my own obituary. Right. He's like, oh, so he reads and he finds out, oh, really? This is what the world think about me. I'm the person who came up with the dominoes right now, and I'm blowing everyone and the causing chaos in the world. Then I said, oh my goodness, I need to come up with a what? Nobel Peace Prize. That's what I'm saying. Was that a chaos theory? Yeah, I don't know. You tell us if it was a chaos theory.
Right, thank you, Dibar. For me, it's difficult to explain because a mistake of this magnitude and looking at the sensitivity of the matter, these are national elections, and we have the whole team of the office of the chair of ABC, and they've been working for a long time towards making sure that everything is okay. And they've been assuring us, actually, as Kenyans, that all is well. I wouldn't call them tourists, but I wonder, really, what really happened in between the time of verification and time of distribution. Because actually, at the time of distribution, of, and certifying that these now materials are, ready for use, they should have really checked whether there could be such anomalies. And now telling Kenyans now, this is a mistake, of course. We don't want to go into that because really I may not know the details, but it raises a lot of questions. And Dibara, if you are a candidate, for that matter, for gubernatorial position in Kakamega or Mombasa, and you are really prepared all this time in your campaigns, you have spent a lot of money, a lot of involvement, a lot of psychological involvement, all kind of involvement, whether material, physical, and all that. And then, without any notice, you are told, now your papers are not ready, they were not, done well. And it raises a lot of concern, a lot of questions. And services like these, which are now affecting all Kenyans, because Mombasa is part of Kenya, Kakamega is part of Kenya. We can't do without them. That's why there will be a repeat anyway of these elections at some time. So I don't want to be so pessimistic of what happened, but I wouldn't like to be a student of chaos theory. But I will coin my theory to be optimistic theory.
Optimistic theory.
Yeah, I want to be so optimistic rather than being chaotic and chaos, chaotic theory. And then say that hopefully maybe there were mistakes done, and we are waiting to see what IBC is going to do. And looking at that, although there are questions to be asked and, concerns about could there be some errors or maybe which are intentional and so forth, let's give them time because they have already declared that there were mistakes there and see what happens. But actually, such mistakes should not happen, really, because this is a national thing which is affected. It's it's something that has been prepared for a long time.
Yes.
And actually, people being involved in such is, it's not only a loss to a county, but even to the people of Kenya, because we have been expecting to do the elections and complete. Look at the taxpayers' money that has been used anyway. You are paid, I've also paid for all those things that are happening. So it's not only for Mombasa, it's not only for Kakamega. It's not only for the officials of EIBC, it's for all of us as Kenyans. So actually, maybe in the future, these things should be, checked thoroughly before they are taken to the public for consumption. And the bar, something I missed this morning, I read somewhere, maybe it's not very clear why some materials were destroyed in my county. I come from Tharaka-Nithi County, and it's unfortunate that that happened.
Hold on to it. Hold on to it. When we come back, at least we'll pick up with that, because I can say it's 6 on the nose, and I'm not driving the show alone. I have my colleagues with me as well, dotted all over the country, and also from headquarters in Mombasa.